Hello, this is David Lorimer here. Today I'd like to share some further thoughts in the final chapter of Albert Schweitzer's My Childhood and Youth on the nature of idealism. And this is from a section called Enthusiasm, from Enthusiasm to what he calls Ripeness, saying that we must struggle to remain thinking as freely and feeling as deeply as we did in our youth. And he continues to talk about ripeness being an exclusive use of reason. And he says one acquires this by copying others and getting rid one by one of the thoughts and convictions which were dear in the days of one's youth. We believed once in the victory of truth, but we do not now. We believed in our fellow human beings, we do not now. We believed in goodness, we do not now. We were zealous for justice, we are not so now. We trusted in the power of kindness and peaceableness. We do not now. We were capable of enthusiasm, but we're not so now. To get through the shoals and storms of life more easily, we've lightened our craft, throwing overboard what we thought could be spared. But it was really our stock of food and drink of which we deprived ourselves. Our craft is now easier to manage, but we ourselves are in decline. I listened in my youth to conversations between grown-up people through which there breathed a tone of sorrowful regret which oppressed the heart. The speakers looked back at the idealism and capacity for enthusiasm of their youth as something precious to which they ought to have held fast, yet at the same time they regarded it as almost a law of nature that no one should be able to do so. This woke in me a dread of ever having, even once, to look back on my life with such a feeling. I resolved never to let myself become subject to this tragic domination of mere reason. And what I thus vowed, in my almost boyish defiance, I've tried to carry out. And he says on idealism that grown-up people reconcile themselves too easily to the loss of idealism. Deeper experience, he writes, however, advises their inexperience differently. It exhorts them to hold fast their whole life through to the thoughts which inspire them. It's through the idealism of youth that we catch sight of truth, and in that idealism we possess a wealth which we must never exchange for anything else. We must be prepared to find that life tries to take away these ideals, but we shouldn't surrender them. And if we are surrendering, it just means, he writes, that our ideals are not strong enough. He concludes that the great secret of success is to go through life as a person who never gets used up. That's possible for the person who never argues and strives with humans and facts, but in all experiences retires within and looks for the ultimate cause of things in oneself, in within. And he continues here, no one who is always striving to refine their character can ever be robbed of their idealism, for they experience in themselves the power of the ideas of the good and the true. When we see too little of the external results for which we are aiming, we know nevertheless it's producing much as one's character allows. And no ray of sunlight is ever lost, and the work we do is done in faith. And so rather than thinking that reality will give way to your ideals, you should grow into your ideals so that life can never rob you of them. Now, I must have first read this passage in my late 20s or early 30s, and it made a deep impression on me. And now, 40 years later, I'm convinced of its truth, that we should never give up on our ideals, but continue to try to realize them through our lives and our work and in our relationships. So hold fast to your ideals. Thank you very much for listening.